Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have two very special guests. A lot of you already know it's Jrod, and we also have a joint subscriber of ours, Leo. So welcome to the both of you. So Leo, you had reached out to me and asked if you could do a joint collab with Jrod, and you said that you are a Black American, but you have Dominican ancestry, and you're married to a native Dominican. So you've been exposed to, both cultures and both sides and everything like that. So you kind of wanted to speak about your experience. So I will turn the floor over to you and we can get the conversation started.
Cool. Well, I would like to say thank you so much for the invitation. It is definitely a blessing to just be able to network and connect with people all around the world and just share information that's going to help build the community. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a blessing. So, based off my observation, like the videos that I've seen you post in regards to the idea of race relations amongst the Dominican community and amongst just the Dominican community and just the tension that we see like in the comic section and and how like there's this anti-black Americanism amongst the Latino community within the comment section. And based off just my personal experience, I really think that is a political issue within East Coast territory. And I want to make it very clear that not every black American person share the same culture. The United States has 50 states, so that within itself, each state has its own unique culture, even just regions. So even the perception of blackness and Latinidad is very diverse and complex in certain areas. Like where I'm from down south. I was born in Arkansas, but I'm an army brat, so I lived in multiple states within the South. And it's completely different from New York City and all these other places who are familiar with Afro Latinidad. Is completely different. Whereas down south, we have the Creole community, which is very similar to the Latin Caribbean cultures, especially like Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, like like especially like Mississippi, people forget like in the deep south, you will find lots of mulattoes, trigueños. So like when it comes to like race mixing, that shit's not foreign to us because like we grew up seeing that, where like you may have a black American who has a mulatto mother and a very dark skinned father, or they may have like um a mestizo mother, and you know what I'm saying, or a mestizo father and a black, mother. So it's like it's not something foreign, it's just when it comes to this race relations amongst Dominicans and African Americans, that shit is not within the entire United States. Cause I'm gonna be honest with you, in the South, you ask just a regular country ass black person, hey, you know what a Dominican is? They finna be like, what the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? Cause they not accustomed to seeing that. Like when they think of Latinidad, they thinking of Mexicanos, Mexicans, the mestizos. So like, you know what I'm saying? A black person speaking Spanish is foreign to people in the South. Even Mexicans, when they come across Afro Latinos, they they like, whoa, what the? Why is this black person speaking Spanish? they not accustomed to that, even though they're supposedly be a part of the Latino community and they should be aware, but not all Latinos share the same culture and see the diversity within Latin America. You feel what I'm saying? So I just want to nip that in the bud, that that whole tension comes from the East Coast. You travel outside of New York, that shit does not apply. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, I was seeing the comments and I was like, man, they was talking reckless. And it was on both sides. Black Americans talking crap about, just Dominicans, or not just even Dominicans, just Latinos in general, because of, in a lot of it, how can I say this? 99.9% of the conflict that we have amongst each other comes from miscommunication and misunderstanding.
Yep.
So that's where I feel like a lot of this tension come from. It comes from a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication in the language barrier, that, like, you know you're trying to um Google translate what Latinos think, but that shit don't add up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in this quote that says, when you go to Rome, think like the Romans. So my message to Americans is that if you're traveling to the Dominican Republic, I'm using the Dominican Republic as an example, you have to think as a Dominican. You can't go to the Dominican Republic thinking like an American. You gonna stand the fuck out and be a black sheep, and you gonna get lost in the sauce.
Yes, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that goes the same way. You know, black immigrants migrating to the US, you have to think as a black American in order to understand black American culture. But even with that, it's still layered because the regional differences.
So many different variations.
Like, for example, like I was telling you, like, me personally, I feel that blacks in the South have way more in common with Dominicans and Puerto Ricans versus black Americans up north. For
Really?
example, you know
Understand?
how, like, within the Dominican culture, um, tenemos un plato se llama tripita. In the South, it's called chitlins. We we eat that shit. You feel what I'm saying? And then, like, another plate, mondongo, that's hog mogs. Like, that's something that we grew up in the South eating. So, like, even Domino's, just being social butterflies, you know what I'm saying? Greeting your neighbors, everybody outside chilling, playing music, even, like, the concept of dembo music. You remember the old style of dembo where, like, they would, like, say a line and then they would, like, make it repetitive, like Monkey Black, oye que bobo, oye que bobo, bobo, bobo. You know how, like, when they would used to make dembo like that? In the South, in Louisiana, we have the New Orleans bounce music, which they did the exact same thing. What's that song? Biggity 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 bounce it. Biggity 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 bounce it. It's like the same concept. Like, how in DR you have the carnival,
Yeah.
we have the Mardi Gras. You know
True.
what I'm saying? You know how, like, in DR, the Sancocho, we have gumbo. So it's like,
It's very
we
similar.
it's a lot of similarities in the South. Even, like, you go to certain places in Louisiana, like in New Orleans, like downtown, like the French Quarter, you would thought you was in Zona Colonial. Be like, damn, what the hell? So it's like, that's why, like, me personally, I feel like Dominicans have more in common with black Americans in the South, but Dominicans don't really have a lot of interaction with Black Americans in the South because a majority go up north.
Yeah.
So they deal with Black Americans up north. So that's why they feel like that disconnect, the language barrier, and just the way they move is just so different. You
Mm.
feel what I'm saying? And that's my stance on that. Like, if y'all can also throw feedback too, you know what I'm saying? Like
Like, to be honest, when I first started, doing my non-makeup videos, and I started getting all the feedback from like Dominicans and like some Black people, like I remember thinking a lot, like, okay, this must be some New York stuff, because I just assume that most of the Dominicans that watch me are probably up north, because that's where most of them are at. But I
yeah.
just think like this must be some up north NY stuff. Like, y'all need to get out of the city. Like, it's like
Yeah.
between us and like Black Americans, it's not like this everywhere. But then I've also heard some say that everybody gets along. So I don't know. Like, sometimes I don't know what to believe when it comes to that. But yeah, I definitely feel like this gotta be some New York stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
It's
see, but
it's
see, I was gonna add on to that. Like, even with, and see, it's not even a Dominican thing. I feel like Dominicans become the punching bag a lot of the times, but in reality, in New York culture, Black immigrants don't fuck with Black Americans, period. They migrate to the East Coast, and like when it comes to the Black label, they associate Black with being African American.
yeah.
So like they'll be like, oh, I'm not Black. I'm not Black like them. I'm Jamaican. I'm not Black like them African Americans. I'm Dominican or I'm Puerto Rican. And it's more of a rejection of saying like, I'm not African American. I have my own identity, but also I still believe that they reject that label because of the negative stigma that comes with being African American.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
Um,
know what I'm saying? Because if Black Americans, if the word Black was embraced and was glorified like whiteness is, they will jump on the Black bandwagon with the quickness. They'll be like, hell yeah, I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? What you talking about? So it's more of like they're saying, I'm not African American. And that's just something that's common in New York, where like a lot of Black people, they stick within their ethnic group versus racially. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? Like, yeah, we Black, but at the same time, I'm Trinidadian, I'm Jamaican, I'm Haitian, I'm Colombian, I'm Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? That's more of New York politics. But you go down south, they don't they they're not gonna jump right away and be like, oh, you Haitian? Nigga, you Black. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to the Latin community, which like you already know, the Mexican community, they're not gonna assume like, oh, that person must be Puerto Rican or Dominican. They're gonna be like, oh, you Black. You know what I'm saying? And they're not gonna assume that you know Spanish right away.
Yeah, I mean that's my experience here with all the like the Salvadorians and stuff here. They don't assume that I'm Dominican or that I speak Spanish or that I can understand if they start talking about me. They think
Yeah.
I'm just a Black person to them, so I can
And,
definitely relate to that.
yeah, and it's not a bad thing. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
it's just I just feel like a lot of this conflict and tension, it comes from the internet, fam. It's an internet thing, and like the internet is definitely working on the psychology of a lot of these people.
I definitely
But
think there's more intense on the internet versus
yeah,
real.
versus real life, cause like when I go to DR, man, Dominicans love Black Americans, like
Yeah.
for real, for real. They fuck with them heavy. They like, hey, what up, my nigga? You know what I'm saying? We eat our pica pollo and we chilling. You know what I'm saying? We eat our yaroa, we chilling. So I don't really see this this now. Don't get me wrong. Yes, my experience in the Dominican Republic, yes, I did see the featureism, as you stated in the last video. I did see the colorism, and yes, I did see the racism, where the Dominican identity is associated with being mixed race and not necessarily black, even though there is a vast majority of black people who are Dominican apart from Haiti. You feel what I'm saying? And people tend to associate blackness with Haiti,
Yeah.
which I feel like is disparate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And even Dominicans on the island would tell you, like, bro, we fucking black. Majority of us are black. And this is outside, like, because, you know, people love saying that, oh, it's those African Americans feeding these Dominicans with these lies. Bro, the Dominican Republic already had pre-existing pro-black Wakanda communities within the Dominican Republic before an African American even stepped on that island.
People don't talk about that though.
But they don't talk about that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's even movies. You watch Sanky Panky where like Fausto Mata, he plays this local Dominican chasing after this white girl. At the end of the movie, he like, I want me a morenita. You know what I'm saying? He end up, you know, linking up with the black chick at the end. You feel what I'm saying? Like, even if you listen to like, I'm a old head. I'm not old, but I like 90s bachata, and a lot of the songs were references towards black women in the Dominican Republic. That's how I'll be like, anti-blackness where, fam? Shit, I must be living in two different worlds, fam, because the black people in DR, they love their blackness. It may not be black American black, but they rock, they love the skin that they in. Yes, there is people who suffer from colonialism in DR who have insecurities. Yes. Yes, there are Dominicans who try to associate with European culture and try to blend in into the mestizaje identity. Yes, that is true. But the same shit is in the United States too, where you have blacks, they be claiming that they Cherokee, they Creole, and they got one damn mixed race person in their family. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, you is black, fam. So I don't know what you talking about, fam. But like, yeah, fam. So a lot of, and it's funny because it's like the same shit that black Americans see in Dominicans, they see in themselves. And the shit that Dominicans see in black Americans, they see in themselves. So it's like we are a mirror in a sense where like we have more in common than we have differences. But because of the language barrier and the miscommunication and the misunderstanding, it creates this divide when it's really like, damn, we tripping, man. Like, why are we bugging out? Like, it's an ego thing. You feel me? And yes, I agree. I don't like associating blackness with all Dominicans, cause that wouldn't be fair. Cause it's just like the U.S. There's whites in the U.S. just like there's whites in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
There's blacks in the US, just like there's blacks in the Dominican Republic. There's mixed people in the US, just like there's mixed people in the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I do kind of like see the reasoning behind the black Americans who are in New York, because I think a lot of them encounter a lot of black Dominicans. So like I guess the ones who say they're not black and they like, nigga, you blacker than me. How can you say you not black? Then bam, now it creates that stigma that like Dominicans are black and all, you know what I'm saying? All of them anti-black, but that's not the case for all. And it's just so draining, fam. I really want to dead this shit. Like, I want your channel to move forward. I feel like you have so much to bring, you know, to the community. You feel what I'm saying? I want this to be your last time having to defend yourself. Cause me and Jrod, we came here to say today, fam.
Thank
That
you.
like for real.
That's why I love hearing y'all's experiences and Jrod as well because he spent so much time in DR and I was telling Jrod this earlier like I hear people say oh I've heard about these how black people went to DR and they experienced racism and this and that but then I listen to people like Jrod and it's like totally opposite experience.
Yeah.
I haven't really spoken if you want to like say something.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Jrod, speak.
No, like just my experience. Like I said in my other videos, the black experience in the DR is comparing to the United States is more of a positive one for me. I definitely feel like yes, like Lee was saying that there is racism, and you do see like the colorism and the featureism or whatever. But honestly, bro, like when I'm in the DR talking to the Dominicans, a lot of them they don't really know about the beef between African Americans and Dominicans. Like when I mentioned it to them, I actually made a video. It was what do Dominicans think about African Americans? I don't know if you saw that one, but when I asked them, it'd just be kind of awkward, and they'll be looking at me like, like what are you talking about? Almost because because to them they don't see like all the stuff I guess that goes on like on the internet or whatever. So when I like bring it up to them, it's almost kind of like an awkward situation in a sense. But I definitely think that like the Dominicans on the island, their whole perception of race is completely different from the ones that grew up in the States, which is why like your perspective, well, either both of y'all, because y'all both are of Dominican descent, y'all have like a unique perspective of the American side and the Dominican side. So you can kind of like, I guess that's why y'all kind of fall in the middle, and people they kind of get on to Christina about falling in the middle. But it's kind of like, I mean, that's where like, you understand. It's like that's how she grew up. Like that's what she's always seen and been around. So I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense. But a lot of people don't see it that way.
Yeah. I definitely agree, man. It's crazy because like, you know, I feel like a lot of the things that that people are um putting all this energy towards Dominicans about, it's in the States too. Even
Yeah,
within the black community, like not every fucking black American is super proud of their African roots. That's just the reality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, I do I can say that in the United States and the United States had more of a head start in the liberation of black consciousness with the civil rights movements that took place in the South. Yeah, black people in the East Coast, you can't take credit for that. A lot of the freedoms that you have now come from the South. The wealth, the even the richness and the wealth that America has built comes from Southern labor, hands down.
and just to
That that
clarify,
can't even that can't even be debated.
I don't know if I said it, but like I can't. I grew up in the South, so just to like clarify.
So like basically, we have to understand that colonialism has affected us differently based on which country we were brought up in. You feel what I'm saying? You know, unfortunately, DR didn't have a civil rights movement to where like blackness became a political label versus the United States, where blackness became a political label versus a racial thing. So yeah, when I can understand why Dominicans say I'm not black, they're saying that I'm not African American, but they're not denying a blackness. You feel what I'm saying?
African Americans, they see that as when they say, "Oh, I'm not black." that they're denying their blackness, and that's why I feel like you get that like friction because they're like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's almost like what he was saying earlier is not communicated clearly enough between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not communicated clearly enough, man. You know what I'm saying? And I can show you, bro, I can list numerous movies where like Dominicans got on they pro-black Wakanda shit. You know what I'm saying? And they talked about the struggles of being a black person in the Dominican Republic. You feel what I'm saying? You got um Y Dios que me perdone. You got that one. You have Feo de Dia, Lindo de Noche, where like Fausto Mata, he plays this black Dominican working in the corporate Dominican world around a lot of like white Dominicans, and he just felt so insecure about himself, and he's like, man, I wish I could be, handsome, so the women at my job could attract to me. And a fairy godmother came down and like, all right, I'm gonna give you this Cinderella moment to where like at night you're gonna become this white dude. You know what I'm saying? And so basically throughout that whole movie, he learns to love himself as a black man. And once he did that, he found someone who truly loved him for who he was, which was the morenita that worked at the bank. That's why I'm like, bro, like Dominicans is not dumb, fam. Like, mind y'all business, bro. Learn Spanish, B. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to learn that New York slang. Learn Spanish, son, so you can understand. Like, niggas just be running their mouth on the internet, bro. And I'd be like, bro, y'all some weirdos for real, for real, for real. So, like, you seen that movie I'm talking about, Christina, right?
I haven't seen that.
Bruh, fam, fam. No, you gotta watch that movie. Like, it is so good, fam. Like, when you like, matter of fact, soon as you like, whenever you had a chance, go to dominicancinema.com, and like it allows you to watch like Dominican movies that were made on the island for free. And the name of the movie is Ugly by Day and Handsome by Night, but in Spanish. And it's a really good movie. I'll Google Drive that shit to you, fam. Shit, say ain't nothing but a word, fam.
Right. That sounds really interesting. I never heard of that movie.
Yeah, like it came out, and it's funny because like even that movie sparked some conflict within the Dominican community, cause like they was like, oh shit, Black Dominicans are starting to talk about race relations in the Dominican Republic, and then it started some stuff, cause now you have like the Dominicans who are not black, they like, what y'all talking about? But because of them having that privilege, they don't really see the plight that black Dominicans go through, or they just sweep it under the rug because um, it has been so normalized in their country to just see a black person in the shadows. You know what I'm saying? Because like even like when I was there, I automatically picked up my American privilege. You go to like in the central part of Santo Domingo, you go to a Taco Bell, you find out one black person in that motherfucker. It's all white people buying Taco Bell. And I'm like, damn, that's weird. You don't find no black people going into like the American franchise restaurants because over there it's considered fino, like fancy, like only the people who got money could afford to go into those places. And then like you will only find black Dominicans in the hood buying fried chicken con frito, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But like shit, that shit good and it's cheap. I ain't tripping. Shit, you can have that little gordita crunch, fam. I'ma eat my little fried chicken and my little tostones, fam. I ain't tripping.
The bottom of the barrel food here.
Yeah, bottom of the barrel food. So it's crazy how like over there, that food is seen, it is portrayed as like fancy, rich,
Oh,
classy. But over here, we like, man, we eat this shit every day. That's why we got diabetes right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, damn, man, that's kind of fucked up. That like, you see that in DR where like a lot of the black people live in poverty. You don't really see a lot of, black people living in the residential areas and stuff like that. They more of like the maids, the security guards, or the nannies. And you be like, damn, man. But that's just the reality, and that's just the way of life over there. And that's something that I had to learn to embrace as an American of Dominican descent. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We just got to live life and hope for better things to come. You know what I'm saying? But to be toxic and just spew hate and just speak negatively of one another, it's just like I feel like it just shows a reflection of how you see yourself. Because I feel like how you view other people is how you see yourself. You know what I'm saying? So once you change the way you think, the things around you begin to change.
Very true.
You know, man, don't get me started, fam. My abuelita, she told me I was gonna be a preacher, man. She told me I got that fire, son. You know what I'm
I
saying?
see that
Dropping them gems.
passionate about the things that you speak on.
Yeah.
man, he's like that. Like he actually the first person that like put me on, like gave me like the rundown of the Dominican Republic. Because me and him, we go back a couple of years. Because we were in a group message, and I remember like he was just telling me, like prepping me with all the stuff with the DR, and then like I got out there, I was like, man, like everything he was saying was like accurate. Like he's always been real passionate about it, and even in the group message, we was the only two Americans, so he would try to like teach them the like the native Dominicans and tell them about the experience because a lot of them they didn't know how it is in America, like the Dominican experience versus the Dominican experience on the island. But yeah, like he definitely you passionate about like what you speak for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of things I put him on game, he started to see that like when it come the little sneaky robberies, you know what I'm saying, where people plot on you and then they'll have a police pull up on you, be like, "Hey man, give me some money." And he saw that and I was like, "You see? I told you." You know what I'm saying? So, and it's just the reality over there, man. It's a different world and I can only hope for Dominican Republic to have a balanced identity, socially, economically, politically. It's very one-sided. You know what I'm saying? But now we're starting to see Dominicans are standing up. They like, man, we not with that old shit no more. We're not gonna be sheep and just follow one man's voice. We're going to speak up for ourselves. Y'all been dogging us out for years. Since colonial times, we had enough. And we're starting to see that now. And a lot of people getting shooken up about it. They getting shooken up. They're like, oh shit. They starting to come to the truth now.
Yeah.
Now the younger generations, oh, they like, hey, we finna vote, fam. It's time to vote.
Hmm.
Might as well use our Dominican privilege. If anything, shit. You got a cellular? Shit. You know eres Haitiano? Shit. You better vote, fam. Even the Haitians, shit. They getting Dominican IDs left and right. They even get Dominican names now. I'm like, damn, bro. You went from Gene to Juanito, bro. Like, what's good, man? Like,
Yeah.
man. And that's another thing too. The whole Dominican and Haitian beef. I did not see that over there. I think I seen one or two incidences where three, three incidences where I seen xenophobia. But other than that, Shit, I saw Dominican dudes with Dominican women married, got kids. And it was so crazy. It'd be like, I got this joke where I say like Dominicans are black and Haitians are madrugada. You know what I'm saying? They're midnight. Haitians are midnight. Dominicans are black. But no, like I would see like the mulatto like Dominicans like light skin, and they be with like the darkest purple looking Haitians, and they be having kids, and I'm like,
Definitely intermixing.
man, so I'm like, and my wife who was Dominican, she was like, yeah, she was like, there's a lot of Dominicans who are cool with Haitians here. Like, there's no real problem with Haitians. We don't hate them because they're black. My wife says this. She was like, we're black just like them. She said it's more of a territorial thing, a
Yeah.
political thing. It has nothing to do with them being black because Dominicans are black too. So when she said that, I was like, see, that internet shit done got me duped, then threw me in. And then once I start to see that, I was like, oh man, I've been tripping, man. The internet been feeding me lies, man.
And that's the thing. So many people that speak on these topics, they never been to DR. They probably don't really even know Dominicans like that.
For real.
Repeating the stuff that they hear. But then once they get there, and then that's when they see, like, oh, okay, so this is how it is.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like me as a black person, if I was just to base everything, I was fortunate enough not to see that side of YouTube before me going out to the DR. But if I did come across that, I probably would have been more hesitant about coming out to the DR because the way how they portray it, like on the internet, it just seems like, man, you
So
finna
dark.
a Klan rally, like that's just how, like that's how intense it seems. And so like I'd be down there, and I remember when all the stuff was going on, even during the summer, with all the deaths going on, like people was hitting me up like, bro, like they killing the black people, like don't go down there. And it was just like, bro, like I'm chilling, like it's definitely like the internet, man, like
Yeah,
real.
it's definitely like, and they don't use common sense. Dominicans survive off tourist dollars. You think they finna jeopardize that shit by intentionally killing black people from the United States? Come on, bro. If if they know that if they do something to a American person, it's gonna backfire like crazy and everybody gonna feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like when I heard about that shit too, I was like, man, man, get out of here, man.
Yeah, yeah. That was my reaction as well. Like when people were saying, oh, that they were purposely like, sabot or going after the black people. I was like, yeah, well, I was like, first of all, do y'all see some of these people are white?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like and it's funny because most of the tourists that go to DR are white Americans. Black Americans barely even travel to DR like that.
And I
You know what
said,
I'm saying? That's how I was like, and then even the people that they said that died over there, they died because they they I don't know, I think they got sick or something. Like from they
it was like internal illness or something
yeah,
unrelated. I think they was talking about the alcohol.
National cause, yeah.
yeah. And see, that's another thing too. Like people bodies, especially elderly people who are from the US, traveling to the Dominican Republic has a effect on your body because
Because
their bodies are not accustomed to the Dominican environment. It was like that for me.
to me, I got it,
When I would go out there and I would go to the hood and get me like some yaroa, and then next thing you know, I have this fucking diarrhea out the world where I'm like, man, I feel like I'm about to die, fam. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah, so it's like
Because your
it,
immune system is like built different
it's
compared to
built
like,
different.
Yeah.
yeah,
it's a completely different environment. You know, that's why like I already knew it was bullshit. We can change the subject on that, fam.
Yeah, I try not to focus too much on that, but I feel like it just always comes back. That subject of us being anti-black and racist and blah blah blah, it always comes back. Like I feel like there's no way for me to escape that at times. But and especially as my channel grows, because not everyone has heard me talk about this in the past already. So it's like I have to re-explain.
That's the problem with YouTube. Like people, they don't. Some people they just watch the one video and then they don't really go back and look at like all the other stuff you done talked about. So sometimes you always got to repeat yourself, catch people up. Yeah, it can be a little bit frustrating.
And see, and another thing, Christina, you have to stop carrying everybody else's cross. You know what I'm saying? These people are responsible for their own mental health. Because at the end of the day, their issue is not with you, it's with themselves. It ain't no World War III, it's World War me. We are our own worst enemies. And a lot of this shit that people are frustrated and spewing this hate about, it's a mental battle, especially with like us adapting or transitioning into like this digital form of communication where a lot of our communication is through technology, and that we're declining in our personal interaction with people. Like people are just having mental breakdowns with the shit that's going on with the internet. And then we have to also take into account that this tension is a New York political thing. That shit ain't got nothing to do with every fucking black person in the United States, especially outside of New York.
Yeah, and see, then that was my experience. Like, well, we're kind of, I guess we're borderline considered the beginning of the South. I don't know. But then again, I'm in Nova, I'm in Northern Virginia, so we kind of
Yeah.
consider ourselves different from the rest of Virginia. But,
Mm-hmm.
even though there weren't a lot of Dominicans here, like, even with some of the other Latino groups, like, I didn't see so much of that tension with Black Americans. Like, I didn't experience that. So when, I do hear other Dominicans talking about that, I'm kind of like, dang, like, it's like that. That's why I said there's got to be some New York stuff because it wasn't the case down here.
Yeah. That's why I'm like,
Like and like on my channel, that was something I was facing. People was bringing up stuff from New York, but my first time ever really encountering a Dominican was when I went to the DR. Because, like I said, growing up in the South, it was just only Mexicans and Guatemalan people. So I didn't even know anything about Dominican Republic or Dominicans and Dominican beef. Like all that stuff was new to me when I started making videos.
yeah. And even like old boy, I'm not gonna even mention his name, but he said some very outrageous stuff about how like Black Americans in particular are just traveling to Latin countries just to have sex with the females. I'm like, bro, are you serious, bro? Like, you know how many Black American, bro? You don't even know a fraction of Black Americans, because the Black Americans that I know, they love them some chocolate meat. You know what I'm saying?
All percentage. That's why I
Yeah.
keep hearing.
That's how I was like, bro, like he tripping. He was like, man, like, oh, Black Americans just going out to DR so they can, you know, have sex with our mix. And he tried to like put emphasis on like this mix shit. And I'm like, bruh, like, who the fuck is you talking about, bruh? Like, you don't speak for all Black Americans, bruh. You know how many Black Americans are mulatto themselves, bro? That shit is not nothing new. Like, what the fuck is you talking about, bruh? You talking out your ass, bruh. And I got offended. I was like, bro, you tripping. You tripping. Don't get me wrong. I think that's more of just a male ego thing when it comes to like traveling for sex tourism thing. But like even with that, like shit, like Black Americans ain't even traveling like that, bruh. They even scared to leave their own hometown. What makes you think they finna travel to a whole nother state,
Yeah, a
let
lot of
alone
them,
the country?
they don't even have passports. And the thing about that, the whole black, the thing about that whole situation with me is just that it's not just black men that are going down there doing that, bro. Like it's other races too. Or like
Facts.
I'm down, and then even like women, bro. Like I mean, people from all like when you go down to the DR and you go into those places like Sasua, I see Italian men, people from Canada, like all different walks of
But
life.
they don't bat an eye, bro. They don't bat an eye. Old bro was making it seem like black Americans this, black Americans that. I was like, man, you gotta be some cornball nigga from New York or somewhere in the East Coast, bro. Cause I was like, bro, you sound like a straight up goofy.
Mm.
You sound straight up goofy, fam. That was just some very outrageous, desperate, false a- accusations. Cause like even for me, my wife will tell you most of the foreigners who travel to DR are from Europe. You know what I'm saying? And
Crazy.
don't get me started on what I be seeing in DR. I be seeing some ugly, dusting looking white folks that be chasing young tail. I'm talking about 15, 16-year-old little black girls getting them pregnant.
Mm.
But hey, the little girl family like shit. We finna get paid. We finna get paid. You feel me? Even though that's a sad thing, but like I just don't like how old bro kind of like there was just like this black American, like this anti-black American agenda coming from that individual. I wasn't rocking with that. But yeah, in DR, most of the people who do go out there for sex tourism, it be Europeans from Europe. You know what I'm saying? Different parts of Europe. You
Mhm.
feel me? But it is what it is, fam. It's sad, and even with that, I wanted to talk with you about that I didn't get a chance to talk about it in the debate. People don't take into account the colonization of the Dominican Republic and how sex tourism, um the reason why a lot of them do become prostitutes, it goes back to colonialism, black people having a rough start. You know what I'm saying? After slavery, black people on that island, they wasn't fortunate to have, inheritance and wealth like the other Dominicans who are of European descent. So what the other the black families had to do in DR, they had to do desperate stuff in order to survive on that island. And then when tourism started to develop, within those different countries and stuff like that, sex was more like it's like slavery almost. You know what I'm saying? If you think about how they only they paying these little girls and these little boys 200 pesos to do just some dark evil shit, and they enjoying it, and they like, oh yeah, over here, it's acceptable, we can get away with it. They feel like they gods over there. They're like, man, over here we can get away with our sins, and
Yeah.
then go back to our countries like ain't shit happened. You know what I'm saying? But it's sad, man. I don't even want to talk about that shit, fam.
It is messed up.
That's why, like, when people throw around the chapeadora shit, like, I don't like that, because you know what I'm saying. There are some really good women out there who have who um who have a sense of self-respect,
Yeah.
and they not selling their bodies, and they not fucking around with no foreigner and asking them to send them no money. You got some hardworking black women in the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? Not just black women, just hardworking Dominican women, period, who ain't asking no nigga for shit. They
Right.
working hard. Whether they making whether they making um $100 or $200 a month, they busting their ass the legit way. So all Dominican women are gold diggers. They're just so promiscuous. They just they're just for sex. I'm like, Bro, you tripping. The women in my family, they Dominican, fam. My wife is Dominican, bro. What you talking about?
Mhm.
So like people need to watch what they say, man.
Yeah.
Cause like Dominican people are human beings too. And I feel like people treat them like circus animals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've had my moments where I cried when I was when I visited the island and I would see that. It really bothered me because like I wanted to be the superhero and there was nothing I could do.
Mm. Yeah.
And it was like, damn. And so like when people bash Dominicans saying like, oh, they just delincuentes, tigres, robbing people, scamming people, but you don't understand the why behind what they do. You don't understand the context of how it's hard. You don't understand, the situation that they were born into. They didn't they didn't wake up in the morning and say, oh yeah, I feel like robbing somebody today. You know what I'm saying? Them people don't have that on their mind. Like they just want to be human. You know what I'm saying? They want to live free without care, without having to stress where their next meal gonna come from. This, that, and the third. They good people. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I've learned is that you have people who do bad things with good intentions, and you have people who do good things with bad intentions.
Mm.
And we done seen that before. We ain't even got to mention his name, Jrod. You know who we talking about. You already exposed them. You got people who do good things with bad intentions,
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, you
and
right.
you got people who do bad things with good intentions.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of like robbed, our house over there got robbed like 2 weeks ago.
Bruh.
Yeah, somebody like cut through the eye, the like the what's it called, la verja? How you say in English? The
Yeah,
thing that protect the windows, the bars.
Oh yeah, the bar thing. Yeah.
Slid and they snuck in. They like tore everything up. I guess they were looking for, I don't know, if they're looking for money or what. But this was at like 3 in the morning, and our next door neighbor over there happened to be up, and so they called the police. But yeah, they sent us some pictures of the dude like out there in front of my house, and it was just crazy. Like I guess because he knew somebody from my family who knew that we weren't there, because the house is by itself right now.
Mm,
Yeah, they did that, but it's crazy because my mom, even though she was so upset, she almost felt bad because
mm,
sad. Like she understands these people are doing this out of like desperation, and apparently he had just had heart surgery, so that made my mom. She felt so conflicted. Like, do I put this guy in jail? Like, or do I just let him go? But yeah, it's tough, and as like growing up in the U.S., like we really have no idea how
yeah,
we
we don't.
people like. I mean, some of them live comfortably, but a lot of them, I mean, hey, like when you go especially to like the campo areas and stuff like that, like we really
Man,
don't know how hard it can be.
for real. And that's why, like, that's something that I learned too. That like I don't like I learned to not say that I'm Dominican, especially when I'm third generation on my father's side. Majority of my family is Black American. My grandfather was born in Cotuí in the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? And I went through this phase where like I would try to only identify with Dominican culture at one point,
Mm,
but it was like when I went to DR, I
yeah,
realized I'm not Dominican. I'm American
mm,
in so many different ways especially on a social in a social aspect and even economically. You know what I'm saying? Like my life experience is completely different from my family who are on the island. I'm like, damn, man, we don't really understand. That's why, like, with them cats in New York, like, oh, I'm Dominican, bruh. Your family left the out, bruh. You like third, fourth generation American, bruh. Nigga, your great grandmother migrated to New York, fam. How you Dominican, bro? Cause you eat a chimichurri like you Dominican, fam. You play dominoes in front of the bodega. Come on, bro. You American, bro. You do not know what it truly means to be Dominican. You know what I'm saying?
Good point, because I wonder that with like my daughters, for example, because
Yeah.
I'm first generation American. My parents were immigrants, but I wonder like with them, are they going to continue to identify as Dominican, or are they going to end up identifying more as being American? You know, like I wonder, how are my continuing descendants, how are they going to identify when it comes to that?
That's gonna be difficult because I feel like after 2 or 3 generations, they gonna eventually assimilate. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality. Unless you have a good sense of family bonding, communication, traveling back and forth on the island, exposing them to
People,
the culture.
I mean,
That's the
yeah,
only way I feel like they're gonna have that.
yeah. I mean, my girls are what, 3 and 6, and they've already been to DR like 3 times. So,
Oh yeah,
I mean, I feel like they're definitely going to get a lot of exposure to Dominican
yeah.
culture and people and stuff
They
like
gonna
that.
be plata now. They gonna be plata now, but you know what I'm saying? They little gringo this gonna come out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
They,
inevitable. They know. I mean, even with me, like I've said in some of my previous videos, a lot of the people over there call me gringa, and they're like, "Oh, you eat French fries and stuff like that,
yeah.
hamburgers."
Shit,
It what it is, you know. But
man, Dominican food fire though. I ain't gonna cap. Dumplings. Oh my gosh. Mm-mm-mm. Have you tried sancocho de habichuela negra?
yes,
Yo, that shit is fire. Oh my gosh, that shit's so fire. And
yeah.
then what's another one? I like locrio de pica pica.
I've tried that before.
That shit fire. With Paco fish, locrio con Paco fish, like that shit is so good, fam. And it's the red can. They use the
Yeah,
red can of the Paco fish, the spicy. That shit's so good.
I tried that.
Yeah, like I know it's coming to eat like locrio de salami, de cerdo, de pollo, but pica pica,
My mom,
final.
my mom likes to make locrio with arenque.
Arenque, yeah, that's common. That's common. And bacalao,
Yeah.
yeah. I already know, fam. I'm hip. I'm hip. I'm super hip.
Yep. Yep.
Pastelón, psh, fam.
so let me ask you this, Christina. Do you ever feel disconnected from the island because the way you grew up in the States? Like, do you feel like well, I know you said like when you go down there, they sometimes joke with you or whatever, but internally, do you ever have like internal conflict with yourself in terms of identity, like not growing up on the island versus being in the States? Do you ever deal with those type of things growing up as Dominican American?
Um, I mean, I guess I always grew up with that awareness that I'm different. I
Mm,
can't. Although I say I'm Dominican, I mean at the end of the day, my experience isn't the same as someone that was born and raised there. Like I've always been very aware of that, but at the same time, I guess because my parents took me back so much throughout my life, I never felt so much of that disconnect. And even while being there, I don't know, it didn't feel foreign to me necessarily. I mean, it was different, and yes, it did take some adjusting, but at the same time, like I feel at home when I'm there. So I don't know, I can't say that I've felt so much of that disconnect, and that's why I've always felt confident in identifying as Dominican, because I felt like that's that's what I was raised in. I was raised in that Dominican environment, like home environment. So yeah, I never felt weird about it. Um, And even like with my group of friends and stuff, everyone always referred to me as Dominican. So that was always just how I identified. That was how I moved throughout the world, just as a Dominican person. Now, of course, in more recent years, race has become a much more bigger topic. So now it's more like I'm uh, getting more used to the idea of identifying as black, which because I didn't grow up identifying as black, so that's still something that I don't know what's the word. I don't know. It's still something I'm kind of wrapping my head around.
It's foreign. I get what you're saying. Like the idea, like this goes back to what I was saying earlier. The idea of identifying as black is more of a political thing because it's kind of redundant because you already know that your family, majority of your family is black and mulatto
Yeah,
of some sort. So it's like there wasn't no need to say, "Oh, I'm black, I'm black."
like it's
Duh.
but you can see it.
It's obvious. You know what I'm saying? So for you, it's been more so of a cultural connection in regards to your parents being Dominican, national. So yeah, I completely understand. And you don't have to feel, you know, uh ashamed at all of you, transitioning into a new I idea. You know what I'm saying? Because you already knew you were a black woman. I feel like you said, you're more embracing the political aspect of being a black woman. You feel what I'm saying? And that's what it all boils down to. And it's okay. You're young. You're still, discovering things about yourself. You're still discovering things about the world, and also too that you don't have to force an experience that you knew you didn't have just to accommodate other people. You know what I'm saying? There is so many other Dominicans who understand the political identity of being black in the Dominican Republic. We can find people. I got people on my WhatsApp that we can interview black in the Dominican Republic. We can have those conversations with people who live those experiences. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you don't have to force that. Even for me, being from the South, I didn't really feel the political identity of being black because I already knew I was black. You know what I'm saying? So black wasn't a political thing for me and my family. You know what I'm saying? Because we come from also mulatto heritage, on both sides of the coin, my mom and dad's side. So, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't really feel like that, like how the weirdos in New York City, like that's how I'm like, to be honest, I wouldn't even care about what they say. You got black Americans talking about they aboriginals like the people from Australia. When you got folks saying weird shit like that, oh, we are the original Native Americans. Girl, trust me, you do not need to be worrying about their opinions, fam. They start talking about like, man, we are the original Cherokees. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
I have a few subscribers I've noticed that follow that, so I don't want to get nobody upset.
Yeah, let me chill out. I don't want to ruffle no feathers.
Like,
We the real Jews.
yeah, Israelites and all that. But when I see that, I'm like, damn, everybody want to look at Dominicans, but
Hmm.
see some of this
Uh,
negative going on right here in the
you
U.
feel me?
It's
Yeah, so don't even worry.
right, man. We all been affected.
For real. And like, I just don't like how people attack Dominican when they, there's other countries who are a lot worse when it comes to racism, especially like Cuba. They literally had like a Jim Crow law over there, like literally, where black Cubans lived separately from white Cubans. And white Cubans was not fucking with black Cubans like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like shit get real over there. And then, oh, let's not forget about Puerto Rico. Oh, they some racist motherfuckers. Especially how they treat Dominicans over there. I done heard cases of black Puerto Ricans getting stopped and frisked by ICE in Puerto Rico for saying that, oh, you don't look Puerto Rican, you look like one of them black people from Dominican Republic. Where's your papers? Where's your documents?
Wow. Yeah.
So all this hype around Dominicans, that shit don't add up because other places it's a lot worse.
Let me ask y'all this: why do you think Dominican Republic is the country that gets it the most, like the most heat?
I say it's because phenotypically a lot of us are darker and look more black. I don't know. I just assume that's part of it.
I won't even just say that. I feel like Dominicans are the driving force for Latin America, period. You know how like black Americans are the driving force for American culture? Like and even outside of America, black Americans have influenced other
That's true.
countries.
Yeah.
It's vice versa in Latin America where you have black people within Latin America from the Dominican Republic who are the driving force of what it is to be hip in a Latin sense. Because I'm going to give you numerous reasons. The music. I live in El Paso, Texas, and I be seeing Mexicans jamming the fuck out of bachata music.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
not
man,
familiar with the
even when they hear me speak Spanish or see my other homies speak Spanish that are Dominican and black, they like, man, they like, I love the way you speak Spanish. Man, bro, hey, que lo que, dame la luz. Like they love the way we speak Spanish, even the slang terms. It's just like black Americans. People love how black Americans speak their English, even the slang that black Americans use, the exact same shit. Dances, salsa music, bachata, merengue. You know what I'm saying? When you think cumbia, you think about all that shit. Black people are the driving force for Latin America. You know what I'm saying? Even though they don't like acknowledging that, they like making black people racially ambiguous in Latin America to where they don't have to acknowledge that it's African roots. They just say like, oh, it's just a Latin thing instead of just telling the truth. Like, no, that's a black thing in Latin America. And a lot of people don't know there has been pre-existing voices for pro-blackness in Spanish-speaking countries. I can go a list. Matter of fact, you know Joe Arroyo, the Colombian cat, all his music evolved around blackness. Tego Calderon in Puerto Rico, his music revolved around blackness. Gabilonia, her music evolved around blackness. Ariana Puello, a black Dominican chick, people forget about her. She always spoke about being black in Latin America. Apache, another black artist who speaks about blackness. Chetty Garcia, she even speaks on blackness in the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's there.
Yeah.
Yes, they voices may not be like loud, but it's getting there. I do see that. I do see the liberation for blacks in Latin America happening, even the natural hair.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? You go to DR, everybody and their grandma got an afro.
It's changed a lot.
It has definitely changed, fam. They is rocking them. They rocking that little 4C. Click. click, click, click. They rocking it, fam, with no shame. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's there, man. You know, just like there's pro-blackness in the States, there is insecurities in the States, just like there's insecurities in the other countries.
Yeah.
You know, we have to embrace, you know, everything as a collective instead of being one-sided at the end of the day. You feel what I'm saying? And you know, and it's okay, you know, to have your own experience. You feel what I'm saying? Yes, there are black people in Latin America who didn't really see the racial tension. There is some who have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like in the States. Me, perfect example. I'm a black American. I didn't really see racial tension like that because I was raised around other black and mulatto people. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you have your few whites, even the whites that I interacted with, cool as a fan. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, the South has always had this negative stigma when it comes to racial tension. But it's funny how there is stronger racial tension in New York, in the northern states, than it is down south. Even Jrod can tell you, man, a lot of the white people in Tennessee fuck with black people in Tennessee. Even
I
in
feel like
Atlanta. Even in Atlanta, bruh, at white folks in Atlanta, psh, they rocking the fro too, fam. They putting that little perm. They said, hey, I'm finna nap up too, fam. I fucks with y'all.
in Atlanta, yeah. Tennessee, nah. I think I think the white people they don't really mess with
They still my bad for speaking for you, man.
it. And
My
then
bad,
too,
G.
like they still have Klan rallies. You know, the KKK originated like in Tennessee. Like it's still very much present. But in Georgia, yeah, they're a lot more open to black people for sure.
But you gotta also think Atlanta is predominantly black anyway.
Yeah,
Not
that's
even
why.
even like for politics, a lot of the people who are in government positions are black. Majority of the police departments are black. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Atlanta is literally Wakanda in the States.
Yeah,
You know what
very
I'm saying? Just like Villa Maya, that's like Wakanda in the DR.
still practice a lot of like traditions from like Africa.
Yeah, big facts. Big facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fam. So how do y'all feel about this conversation? I feel like we accomplished our goal. I feel like there should be no more arguments, even though girl,
There's
I
no
think you should mute the comments. I think you should moderate. Select which ones you gonna let pass and block the rest.
Like, I've gotten some people in the past who kind of mad at me about that because that's sometimes I don't. I'm like, okay, I know certain videos of mine in the past have gotten very crazy, like with the comments and like people posting racist comments. And sometimes I'm like, do I leave the comments so that people can like get at these people, or do I delete them? But then I don't want to be that YouTuber that deletes all her comments,
exactly.
everything that doesn't agree with her point of view. Like I don't want to be that person either. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do with some of these comments.
Yeah.
I feel like long as there was, I feel like longer. My thing is long as they're respectful and they get their point across respectfully, then it's cool. But once they start bashing and getting all like toxic and stuff, that's when I gotta like,
You gotta put your foot down.
yeah.
I mean, even with the crazy comments that I've gotten, man, I've had to block a lot of people. Like,
I can imagine.
It's not me now. I just be blocking everybody. Just block.
Man, I just be like, bruh, block.
'Cause, bro, you get tired of it, man. Like after, cause we've been doing this for like a year and a half, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, hold
It's
on.
like you just get tired after a while, just trying to explain yourself, and I don't know. It's just something about trying to communicate through a keyboard that I already hate texting people, cause I feel like I can never express myself the way that I want. But man, like it's just you get tired of it, man. Like I just don't think you can win, honestly. Like you never gonna win on the internet. Not
Facts.
back to everybody.
Yeah, like I ain't gonna lie, fam. I really enjoyed this conversation. I really hope people learn from our experiences. And I hope that I did bring a lot of closure to the misunderstanding and the misconceptions too.
Man, that's crazy. Like how like you even came across me again because we stopped talking for like a
Man, a
good
good year almost.
year, and then I think you found my channel. So I'm like, that's just
Yeah.
everything just come back in full circle.
Yeah, cause like it was funny, cause like we not gonna even give him no energy, but the dude was popping up on my recommendations, and I was like, "Who is this dude?" And I'm like, "Oh, some shit about DR, another tourist again." Bloop. And I watched like a few clips, and I was like, "Some is off," and I just asked to do not recommend this person to my channel. Bloop. Jrod pops up in my recommendations. Such and such exposed. Bam, I was like, Jrod, nigga, you famous, fam? You got YouTube clip, man. Me and him, we chopped it up. I found him. We found each other on your little channel when we had the little when they had the debate, and I couldn't get my point across. And like me and I was like, damn, Jrod, Christine, like yeah, like we cool. I was like, man, that's what's up.
All right,
Yeah.
so we can end the video here. Once again,
All
thank
right.
you so much for coming on. You brought so much good insight to this conversation. So thanks to both of you for having this little collab with me.
You
Appreciate you.
feel me?
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate it, y'all. It means a lot.
Yeah. So to everyone watching, if you haven't subscribed to Jrod's channel, go subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up, and we'll check y'all later.
All right. Peace.